So we had our one down day. A couple of days ago, we grinded kind of back in close to this upper consolidation on the SPYs. See, the last couple of days, we've been flirting with the 247 area. We zoom in to prior to putting in the day we put the all-time high in, we can look and we see we had a extreme low volatility. This might have been one of the tightest ranges on a percentage basis ever for a week on the SPYs, and that most of that time was spent between 246.80 and 247.5. Right before, the day before we put in the high, we touched the 247.70s a couple of times. So put in the high, sold off hard. News event drove us down, and then just like the last, I don't know, 15 times in the last 15 months, buyers stepped in, volatility dropped, and rinse and repeat, and here we are back again. So, you know, perhaps we'll just support here at this 246.35 to 246.50 area for a few more days. We won't break back up to this upper all-time high area. The more you consolidate, the better it is, or the easier it is to play a break of that consolidation, especially on the downside. We saw that on last week's downtrend day when we took out the multi-week support. There was another $2+ of downside. So breaks can be clean to the upside as well. They just tend to be not as large in terms of magnitude at these, especially at these levels, since we're up so much. So IWM was showing the relative weakness. We talked about that for a couple of weeks, and once it got below the 139, I thought 137 was a reasonable downside. 136 was pretty much in the worst case area. We did gap up the following day, came back, I guess, and tested my little line here. I wasn't around to appreciate and see that, but so yeah, so I guess in the pre-market we were right into 139. If you wanted to get short, this was the spot to do it. X marks the spot. Very little risk into 139 there on the short side, and came off $1.50. It's a nice size down move on the small caps. Actually, in the after hours, kind of almost tested the prior day's opening level. So, what's our range now? 138.5 to 139 resistance. 137.35 to 137.50 support, and then below that is a nice gap. Very nice gap. So I'd be perfectly happy to get short again up into here. I'm not sure if I would play this gap fill here, maybe perhaps if I'm on the desk. Try that as well. Qs. So it was, what was it, 144.40, 144.60, which acted as a really good short. I think it was this day right here, maybe. We're right there again. Yeah, I've been talking a lot about the Qs lately. I'll probably downshift again from talking about them. I just feel like sometimes the levels can get overridden by it's so concentrated between Apple and Google and Amazon that if one of those names has a big move, especially during earnings season, it kind of screws with the levels a little bit. SPY is extremely clean off of levels, and then IWM, when it breaks support levels, obviously very clean as well. But other than that, it can be a little bit messy too. But this area here, right here, which worked for us on the short side, the 144.60, we could nibble there, see if we got below, I guess, 143.80 support now. Target. So Target had small beats. The only reason you might see a big positive reaction out of this is if it's, where it is relative to the highs from last year. It was 83 it topped out at, and then it topped out at 77, 78. Because it's come up so much, most retail. Recently it was down at 50, or below 50. Fill back at. And 60 looked like it might be in play. Failed here a few times at 58. I guess my thought on this one, I was hoping an opportunity to short it with the resistance, 57, 58. So it was already this morning above 57. This area right here, I mean, it was grinding up and then it just got crushed from 57.60. Clearly people were selling into that this morning there. They saw this breakdown. They're very happy to sell there. Now they're rewarded with over $1 down move. So now we're coming into areas where you look at it on the long side. I feel like we get burnt on this every once in a while. You miss the short because it's a retail department store. And some of these are just, they pull the rugs intraday. They overshoot by $1 or $2, even though they do bounce at some point. But this is the spot right here, 55.5, 56. I guess I was a little bit more conservative there. I put 55 on the sheet to 55.5. But you have to respect the fact that this was resistance the last few days, and it can act as support on the open, especially if people want to buy it and they're going to try to push it back up to 58. All right, so what do we got? Sellers in control from 57.5 here. Some buying 57.35, came back up. They sold there, and now it's actually starting to hold above. Volumes picked up, so there it's trying to bounce now. Next spot is 56.5, and 56.65, and 57. So. And this was the solid entry. You can see here's the volume stepped in. People were looking at the 56 level. You get a whole number. You see the volume come in. It wasn't dropping 90 cents here. The risk was probably about 15 cents buying at 56, 20 cents. Now you see it bounces to 57. You have to consider that it could make a lower high. 57.5 was the low here at 8 o'clock when the institution started trading. So the first thing I'll look for is, does it pop up here and what happens at this area? Does it get sold a couple of times at 57? Then look for the rollover. If it gets here and then bursts through, then look for the test of the pre-market high and then 58. And I would be shorting into 58. URBN, this is up a lot. So it was 40, they cut it in half to 20. We probably talked about this gap down to 16 in terms of being way, just being bought because it was down so much for a gap fill here. It did fill that, made a higher low. They were buying it for a while in the 17s. Never quite got back up to 20. And now it's actually gapping above 20 this morning. There's no real major resistance till above 22, but I would think on the open, if it spikes up a little bit more and then you get one of those where it's holding below 20, you'll probably get a $1 to $1.50 down there, just how bad the sector is. And this gives us a pretty good picture. So the initial reaction was to 20. They bought it at 19 for like an hour, very clearly. then went to 2050. I'm a seller of the stock here. I mean, the buyers are stepping up in the pre-market. I'm a seller of the stock here. I would have to see it after the open spending time above 2050 for me to be believing in the long up here. It's up $3.60 right now. Agilent A raised guidance. It's above all resistance. Strong uptrend. Recently tested horizontal support, kind of similar to Bob actually. And that was gapping above 62. So if we go into the 30-minute, there's just not much volume here, so we can't really read too much into it. It did come back into 61.5. So watch 62 and 61.5 for action points potentially on the open. You notice after 10 a.m. it's still above 61.5. Chance that you can catch a close into the high of the day since there's no resistance up here. EMY, there was some drug data. I just saw an analyst or two say it wasn't that bad. But a lot of times these situations, when they gap down first in the pre-market and the analyst says not that bad, they'll pop initially and then get sold again. So let's see what we got here. So my thought was, I've read in the open, maybe they would pop it up to 57, maybe even a little higher if it would fail here, and they would just crush it back down to these places they took it to in the pre-market, down here 56 to 55, 80 or so. Teva. So Teva, I bought a couple of days ago, and then I've been off, really was off the desk most of that day and then yesterday. And so I bought it here. And then it bounced, but it failed. I got stopped out of most of it here. And then I guess yesterday, when it bounced up to 18, what I had left probably got sold. So that was originally my plan, was to sell a little bit into 18. Since I was already stopped out of most of it the day before, I'm flatted now. Seems like it was pretty clean in terms of put it in the bottom, then you have your low from the prior day, tested the low yesterday, and then immediately was bought, got above 1750. And closed around 18. So this morning was gapping higher. Now it's down. Of course, its home market is Israel, and Israel's already open. So I suppose it's being sold there right now. I'll probably jump back in here at 1780. 1765 is probably even a better buy against 1750. See if it can work its way back up to 18.5 and 18. MYL, just a really weak stock that was up a little bit this morning, and I thought if it popped a little bit more, you could short it into this 31.5 to 31.80 area. EKS, there's no support. Looked like there was a little bit of whippiness on the open, but after that I thought it was a very clean short. Hopefully some of you guys were focused on the short side. But after the initial pops and wicks here on the open, it then held 29, made a lower high, and then once it took out the morning low, it was pretty clean, tight consolidation. Tried to pop 10, 15 cents here, failed, trended lower, then held 28, the whole number. Anytime a stock's trending lower and it holds whole numbers, that makes trading it very easy. If you're focused, if you understand that institutions, larger players will sell and buy at whole numbers. And so once you get below and you come back and you get your retracement, that's why so often you'll see me enter into the retracements to the whole number. It's just very well defined, and you can put a stop above 10 cents, above 20 cents, and see if it continues to trend. And so closed at the low, there was no reason to not hold some for a swing. The stop now on a swing short It's probably above 27 and a quarter, 27.50, something like that. See if it trends all the way down to $25.
Hope you enjoyed that video. You can actually watch that video if you're subscribed to our Trader 90 before the market even opens. What stocks are in play? What levels in those stocks are important? And how we might go about attacking that stock. That's Steve Spencer, 20-year veteran trader, laying it out there every morning before the market even opens. A really, really powerful tool to start your session off on the right foot. So right now we're offering a trial that you can take advantage of to access this meeting and other meetings throughout the day. We have a meeting at 11 a.m. Eastern where you can sit down with Mike Bellafiore and listen to him talk about what's going on during the morning session, what stocks were in play, what the best trade opportunities were, as well as maybe some things that we're looking at heading into the afternoon session. So I really encourage you to take advantage of that trial.